Breaking news! It's just been confirmed at the Falcons. I'll tell you everything that's been going on behind the scenes in detail, so be sure to hit that like button and let's get to it. The change was subtle, but if you're paying attention, it could be the strongest signal yet. The Atlanta Falcons have signed quarterback Easton Stick, and while the press release may seem routine, it carries the weight of something much bigger. Because this isn't just about a backup, this is about what happens next in the Kirk Cousins saga. And for those who have been following closely, it seems like the front office is preparing for a future without him. Let's break it down. Stick, a 29-year-old with a resume that includes 4 national titles at North Dakota State and a brief stint as a starter for the Los Angeles Chargers in 2023. Is now the 4th quarterback on Atlanta's roster. He joins Michael Penix Jr., Kirk Cousins, and Emory Jones. But here's the kicker. Cousins has made it clear he doesn't want to be in Atlanta in 2025. Combine that with Stick's experience and mobility, and you suddenly see the chess game being played. Stick's arrival may not make national headlines, but it changes the dynamic in the room. He's the insurance, the steady hand in case things change before, or even during, the NFL draft. And those changes are already becoming a reality. Josh Kendall of The Athletic confirmed that Cousins is not expected to report for voluntary workouts. His absence is strategic. The Falcons, meanwhile, now have a veteran backup plan in Stick, who completed 63.8% of his passes last season through 4 starts, threw for more than 1,100 yards and scored a rushing touchdown. Those aren't elite numbers, but he's more than serviceable as a backup, especially for a team that could suddenly be handing the keys to a rookie. Stick's signing doesn't close the book on Cousins, it opens a new chapter. Because if a trade is coming, the front office has finally made its first concrete move to prepare for life after Kirk. And timing is everything. The 2025 NFL Draft is just days away, and according to multiple reports, including ESPN's Adam Schefter, the Falcons are in a unique position. They hold the 15th overall pick, but with just 5 total selections, General Manager Terry Fontenot is considering a trade down. This isn't about rebuilding. This is about strategy and leverage. Here's why. There aren't many top-tier quarterbacks in this year's class. Miami's Kim Ward is a standout, but the QB pool dries up fast after him. That scarcity has created a rare moment of power for Atlanta. Teams like the Denver Broncos, who hold the 20th pick and have been actively exploring trade-up scenarios, might come calling. Especially if a top prospect begins to slide down the board. And when the phone rings, Atlanta will be ready. Denver GM George Paton confirmed that calls are already being made. The real action, he says, comes in the final hours before the draft. That's when parameters turn into proposals. And the Falcons? They're perfectly positioned to cash in either to gain more picks or make a stealthy move for a game-changing defender. And that leads us to what fans are actually demanding, help for the pass rush. Atlanta's defense was a problem in 2024. They ranked 23rd in points allowed, 30th in pressure rate, and 31st in sacks. That's near rock bottom. And while Raheem Morris has begun retooling the unit with new pieces like Leonard Floyd and Morgan Fox, fans are screaming for the front office to finally draft an elite edge rusher. For a team that's missed more often than it's hit in that department, remember Vic Beasley and Takaris McKinley, there's real anxiety and even more anticipation. And it's not just anecdotal. In a fan poll last week, 66% of Falcons fans said they believe the team will finally take an edge rusher with their top pick. That's 2/3 of the base aligning behind one message: fix the defense. Fix it now. Prospects like Mike Green, Jalen Walker, Michael Williams, and Shamar Stewart are all being linked to Atlanta, and at least one of them could still be on the board at pick 15. Or even after a small trade down. There's pressure. There's expectation. But there's also opportunity. Because as quiet as things have felt around Flowery Branch, the reality is the Falcons are quietly setting the board for something bigger. The Stick signing, the Cousins rumors, the draft leverage, they're all part of the same story. And by the time the clock starts ticking Thursday night, this team could look very different. But I want to hear what you think. Do you believe the signing of Easton Stick is the clearest sign yet that a Kirk Cousins trade is imminent? And do you think Atlanta finally makes the right move and grabs an elite pass rusher in the first round? Drop your answers in the comments. And if you're still not convinced that something big is coming, let's take a deeper look at the context building around this team. The Falcons didn't just add Easton Stick to quietly fill a third-string role. They added a quarterback who just last season stepped in for Justin Herbert and held his own. The numbers weren't earth-shattering, 1,129 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception, but they were respectable. His completion rate? Nearly 64%. And he showed surprising mobility with 28 scrambles for 142 yards and a rushing score. In short, Stick isn't just a clipboard holder. He's capable. He's experienced. And most importantly, he's now an option. When Kirk Cousins signed with Atlanta, fans were cautiously optimistic. But then came the drafting of Michael Penix Jr. and now, with Cousins reportedly unhappy, not attending workouts, and protected by a no-trade clause he's more than willing to wield, we're left with a quarterback conundrum that continues to evolve. The front office is trying to stay one step ahead. And signing Stick might be the move that finally frees them to act. But this isn't only about the quarterback room, it's about what Atlanta does with the leverage it currently holds. Because while the league's draft trade market has been oddly quiet, the Falcons are sitting in a golden spot. They're not picking too high to get trapped into a must-take scenario. And they're not too low to miss out on elite defenders. The 15th pick is a power position, especially in a draft class where teams like Denver are hungry to move up, and edge rushers are falling right into Atlanta's lap. The fan base knows what's needed. The numbers don't lie. Pressure rate and sack production were abysmal in 2024. And while Floyd, Fox, and Onyemata add some depth, none of them are true game wreckers. This draft is Atlanta's best shot in years to change that. Michael Williams, Shamar Stewart, Jalen Walker, these aren't just names. They're difference makers. The kind of players who can flip games, ignite crowds, and make Sunday afternoons in Mercedes-Benz Stadium feel like something again. And let's be honest, this franchise needs that spark. It's been years since the Falcons had a defensive identity. Years since an opposing quarterback felt real fear pre-snap. Fans remember the 2016 team flying off the edge, creating chaos. But those days have felt distant. Now, with the right draft day move, Atlanta could begin building that defense all over again. Of course, there's risk. Drafting edge talent hasn't always gone well for the Falcons. Vic Beasley had one monster season, then disappeared. Takk McKinley never lived up to expectations. That's why this pick matters more than usual. It's about breaking a cycle, not repeating it. And circling back to the quarterback conversation, what if a trade does happen on draft night? What if Cousins finally waives the no-trade clause after seeing how the board unfolds? Maybe Denver makes a late play. Maybe Pittsburgh gets desperate. The groundwork is there. And with Stick now in the room, the Falcons can afford to be bold. They're not locked in. They're not trapped. They're prepared. So now the pressure shifts. Not to the players, but to the front office. Terry Fontenot and his coaching staff have 5 total picks in this draft. Each one will need to be accounted for. The fans are watching. The roster is waiting. The coaching staff is ready. And if they play this right, the 2025 NFL Draft won't just be a footnote in a rebuilding effort. It could be the moment this franchise finally turns the page. Now it's your turn, Falcons Nation. Do you think Atlanta should stick with Kirk Cousins, or is it time to make a move and start fresh? And if you're Terry Fontenot on draft night, do you trade up for more picks or stick with number 15 and take the best edge rusher available? Let your voice be heard in the comments. And if you want all the Falcons coverage, from trades and draft picks to film analysis and game reactions, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a thing. Go Falcons!